5 families that rule the world. In the name of progress, human civilization during its Renaissance period began to orient its political and economic philosophies toward the establishment of financial and commercial entities. Since then, these entities have now morphed into the most powerful corporations on the face of the earth. But behind these large corporations and beyond the complicated framework of politics and business, according to some people, there lies a hidden dominating force that controls the world's political, economic, and military systems. And at the helm of this unnoticeable hegemonic power, there are allegedly 5 influential families that constructed the current world as we know it according to their design, and they continue to dictate the ways of the world without the notice of the common man, who is kept busy building their empire. And so, according to some historians, scholars, and many conspiracy theorists, here are the 5 most powerful families that control the world today. Number 5, the Rothschild family. The story of the Rothschild family is one of money, and its beginning can be traced back to the 18th century, to the rise of the financial genius that was Mayer Amschel Rothschild. From an apprentice at a small bank in Hamburg, Mayer Rothschild rose to become a prominent figure in the international transactions and manipulation of money. Eventually, he installed each of his 5 sons to be his agents in the 5 major financial centers of Europe, and later their sons were also sent to other financial centers to head new offices around the world. Throughout the 19th century, the Rothschilds were responsible for stabilizing the currencies of major governments all around the world, a role now fulfilled by the International Monetary Fund, or IMF. While they provided important international services, they also profited heavily from it. At the height of their family's business empire, the Rothschilds' wealth would have been the largest single fortune in world history. However, according to some conspiracy theorists, the Rothschilds, driven by their quest for money, have orchestrated the assassination of United States presidents and created every war since the 1800s by financing both sides of the conflict. The more weapons each side bought, the longer the wars dragged on, and the more people that died meant more money for the Rothschilds. Some even claim that the Rothschilds funded the operation of Nazi Germany and caused the Holocaust, and that they were the true figure behind the creation of Israel. Since then, it is believed that the Rothschild family has remained at the top of the world's oligarchy system and maintains a powerful and determining influence on the United States Federal Reserve and the British financial systems. Number 4, the Rockefeller family. In the 19th century, John Davidson Rockefeller effectively started to solidify his American empire after buying out several partners who owned Cleveland's largest oil refinery in 1865. Later on, this became the foundation for the formation of the Standard Oil Company of Ohio in 1870, and John D. Rockefeller established a large monopoly on the industry that controlled around 90% of American pipelines and refineries. However, some historians say that labeling Standard Oil as a monopoly is an understatement, downplaying the covert and savage tactics utilized by John Rockefeller to maintain its control over American oil. In 1911, the Rockefellers' monopolistic oil company was broken up under antitrust legislation, but the family maintained a large share of the business and continues to profit from it. According to Forbes, at the time of John D. Rockefeller's death in 1937, his net worth amounted to as much as $340 billion in today's money. That's about 4 times more than Bill Gates. Since their financial prime in the early 20th century, the family's wealth has dwindled down to an estimated combined net worth of just $11 billion. Nevertheless, the Rockefeller family has been the subject of a wide variety of conspiracy theories and has been accused of atrocious acts, such as funding the invention of the Zika virus, using their donations to medical charities to promote conventional medicine and crush alternative medicines, orchestrating the assassination of US President John F. Kennedy, and even for being the hidden force behind the destruction of the World Trade Center buildings during the 9/11 attacks. One prevailing conspiracy theory about the Rockefeller family is their association with the idea of a secret global government called the New World Order. They have been accused of establishing institutions such as the Trilateral Commission and the Bilderberg Group, among other organizations, to advance their interests nationally and globally, in one all-controlling organization beyond all governmental laws and regulations. Number 3, the Morgan family. Toward the end of the 19th century, John Pierpont Morgan established the J.P. Morgan and Company, a financial company that has played a prominent role in the economic history of the United States, and therefore the whole world as well. Back in 1893, panic swept the United States, partly because the flow of the country's surplus gold to foreign nations put the U.S. economy in danger. Following in his father's footsteps in the banking industry, Morgan seized the opportunity to save the economy by restoring the confidence in the dollar and rescuing the gold standard. To do this, Morgan led a syndicate of bankers, which included the Rothschilds, to use United States bonds to buy back gold from foreign investors. According to some people, that gold and bond exchange allowed Morgan to control the United States gold supply, which in turn gave him the flexibility to finance the creation of the U.S. Steel Company and gain control of the emerging electric light industry by forming General Electric. Morgan accomplished these feats by employing unethical and cutthroat business practices, which involved the elimination of competition, slashing jobs and reducing wages, and neglecting workplace safety, a very greedy process which became known as Morganization. There are also those who believe that America entered World War I not for political and policy concerns, but for the profits of the banking and munitions industries. Apparently, United States banks, including Morgan's, lent over 100 times as much money to the Allied countries than they did to their adversaries. In order to protect these loans and their interests, financiers like Morgan urged the Wilson administration of the United States to aid their allies by participating in the war. At present, rumors suggest a far too comfortable relationship between what is now the leading global financial services firm, J.P. Morgan Chase & Company, and the United States Federal Reserve. There is even a theory that a tunnel exists connecting the two gold vaults of the New York Fed and J.P. Morgan, and allegations that the Morgan family is heavily involved with war profiteering. Number 2. The DuPont family. The DuPont family is an American family descended from Pierre Samuel DuPont de Nemours and has been one of the richest families in the country. Pierre Samuel DuPont de Nemours was a French economist who emigrated from France in 1800 to the United States with his sons, Victor Marie Dupont and Luther et René Dupont. Luther et René Dupont initially established E.I. Dupont de Nemours and Company, commonly referred to as DuPont, a gunpowder manufacturer, which eventually became a chemical empire responsible for ubiquitous inventions such as nylon, Teflon, and Kevlar, among many other polymers. DuPont became the largest supplier of gunpowder to the United States military in the early 1800s, and soon enough it began manufacturing dynamite in incredible proportions. However, its monopoly on the industry was broken up under the Sherman Antitrust Act. But just like J.P. Morgan, the DuPont family still managed to maintain dominance over the munitions industry, having supplied nearly 40% of all munitions used by Allied forces during the First World War. DuPont also played a large role in the development of the Manhattan Project and the production of the first atomic bomb during the Second World War, where it designed, built, and operated the Hanford plutonium production plant in Washington. DuPont also reportedly produced as much as 4.5 billion pounds of military explosives used over the course of that war. Then, in 1950, DuPont agreed to build the Savannah River plant in South Carolina in cooperation with the effort to create a hydrogen bomb. Rumors still circulate about DuPont's involvement in the prohibition of hemp and cannabis in 1937 to protect its breakthrough patent for nylon and its process of using wood pulp to make paper. Since hemp could efficiently replace both products, some argued that it would have severely limited DuPont's massive profits if it wasn't prohibited. This may be why there was a large propaganda campaign against hemp, despite its being promoted earlier by the US government as hemp for victory. There are also rumors about DuPont classifying their hazardous waste byproducts as so-called healthy in order to get paid dumping them into the United States water supplies. Otherwise, they would have to pay heavy penalties to remove this hazardous waste. One such chemical is sodium fluoride, which was used in concentration camps to make the prisoners docile and more easily dominated by authority. Fluoride is also known to calcify the pineal gland, also known as the third eye. Number 1. The Bush family. The Bush family is considered as among the newest family to join the world elite, and began its legacy with Prescott Sheldon Bush, a U.S. banker and senator who was accused of obscenely profiting from the Second World War, and for establishing businesses with large corporations that financed Adolf Hitler's government. Documents declassified in 2003 reveal that Yale University's Skull and Bones secret society member Prescott Sheldon Bush, the father of United States President George H. Walker Bush and the grandfather of President George W. Bush, could have been prosecuted for providing aid and comfort to the country's enemy by engaging in nefarious business dealings prior, during, and after World War II. As reported by The Guardian back in 2004, the National Archives documents show that even after America had entered the war and when there was already significant information about the Nazis' plans and policies, Prescott Bush worked for and profited from companies closely involved with the very German businesses that financed Adolf Hitler's rise to power. Prescott's descendants have not escaped scrutiny as well, having been accused of utilizing their power during their stint as the Commander-in-Chief of the United States to profit from the wars the country participated in. Conspiracy theorists even went so far as to claim that George W. Bush knew of the 9/11 World Trade Center attacks and used it to justify a preemptive attack on a nation that has not attacked the United States in the name of a much much broader war against terrorism. To many conspiracy theorists, these 5 powerful families are the puppet masters that hold the strings of the highest echelons of society. With their immense wealth, unlimited resources, and far-reaching influence, these families have been rumored to have occult satanic connections, a hidden network in the gold trade, a mysterious or even evil agenda, and a secret plan to establish a new world order to control the world. Whether you believe these or not, it cannot be denied that there is a clear socio-economic disparity that places a great divide between the citizens of the world and an overall political and economic climate that favors the wants of the select few over the needs of the many.